Welcome to the Oso Spurs podcast, where we are unfortunately discussing our third defeat on the bounce and looking for some positives. However, the news has just broken that Bentancur will be out for 2.5 months. But we'll find some things hidden away there. We're going to be discussing the performance against Villa, why perhaps one of our better performances ended still in a defeat, and the silver linings to that. And we'll be previewing the Manchester City game as well. We've got a full house with us today. Si, how are you?
I think I'm all right, mate. I think so.
Deej, do you think you're all right, or are you all right?
I was all right till the Bentancur news broke. I'm no longer all right.
That's what's caught
I'm no
me out
longer
as well.
doing good.
Stu, come on, tell us you're fantastic. Tell us something's good.
It's actually my birthday today, so I am fantastic.
Happy birthday, Stu.
Happy birthday. And of course, we have Johnny in Dublin. How are you, mate?
All right.
Okay. I'm all right, thanks. I'm not quite bought into this pure negative spiral on social media that everything's broken, but we'll discuss that in the podcast.
Which has broken me.
That hurts more than defeat, doesn't it? But
easily.
Way more.
But it is what it is. We'll get on to that in a moment. But should we start with the Villa game? Personally, I thought there was some lot of positives in that game. It's weird. It seems like we had at the games we deserved perhaps to get nothing from in Luton and Liverpool. We come away with something, and the games where we seem to be playing really well with a depleted squad, we come away with nothing. And another player loses a leg for 3 months. I kind of ended with you last time, Stu. So I'll start with you this time. What did you make of the game?
Yeah, to be honest, if you just look at it, take away the result part, I thought we played well. I think considering all the players that were missing, it was a really, really good performance. I think Ange kind of was disappointed with himself in the Wolves approach with his lineup, and actually went with his philosophy with the lineup. When I saw the lineup, I was really excited. I was glad everyone was getting a chance, both Gilles and Lo Celso. Also interested to see Kulusevski play in his preferred position, and to be honest, I thought he played really, really well. Bentancur was a Rolls Royce. I mean, he was pulling all the strings, playing amazingly well, and it looked like we were going to wipe the floor with Villa. We were playing fantastically, and then obviously it all went wrong.
Yep. As it seems to do lately, everything just goes wrong that can go wrong in a small amount of time. Johnny, is there some positivity that you want to shed on this? Or are we going to the wrong person for that?
No. Like, to be honest with you, my earlier response was due to the news because I hadn't heard about Bentancur until like a couple of minutes ago when you guys shared that. So yeah, that's why I'm feeling deflated. I mean, when I left the stadium with Callum on Sunday, I was like, considering it was a defeat, I'd sort of gone into the game fully expecting probably that we would lose. And then when I saw the team selection, I was like really, really excited. I think I was with you, Jim, at that point, and it was like just to see how true Ange was, and I guess especially in response to the Wolves game, that it was going forward very, very exciting outfit. Clearly massive issues in defence, and we were, anytime the ball went anywhere near our defence, we were always looking incredibly vulnerable. But I think there are huge opportunities, and I think you've said yourself, Jim, in the group since the match that we've got to be this negativity. Like, everyone's entitled to their own response. I personally don't understand all the negativity because I think we know as a manager, it's come in and made an incredible impact. The fans fall in love with. I'm not like that fickle that I'm going to fall out of love with somebody after a few defeats. There's mitigating circumstances in 2 of those 3 defeats, and yeah, I think that there is a massive, for me anyway, reason to look at this journey that is only really, really in its tiniest baby steps, and really has had very little time. He's not really been able to bring, had the effect in the transfer market yet. There's an awful lot of things outside of the pitch as well, with that infrastructure that hopefully will support him get the players in he wants. We know how single-minded he is about who he brings in, and we've just been ridiculously unlucky, because I think before the game I was reading about how Villa's their lineup is by far the most consistent starting 11 in the Premier League. There's something like eight of their games have had exactly the same starting 11. Crazy. I mean, that's insane, and it is luck, largely. Yes, of course, we had massive frailties with the cover and centre defence, and just turned massively pear-shaped very, very quickly. But for me, I'm actually still feeling really positive about everything, to be honest with you. I think that the players showed on a huge number of occasions some incredible football. It was like, for me, our crew up in the East End, really nice bunch of people around where I'm sitting. It was nice to get the chat with other people and stuff, and like everyone in my row, they were all like just really enjoying the entertainment and thinking, Jesus, like last year it was just like watching paint dry, and now, yeah, okay, the result was disappointing, but look at the effort. Even Heel, okay, he was very blunt, but his effort and his work, what he was doing, they're all buying in, they're all supporting the Ange way, and I'm really optimistic still about it. Okay, I know next week likelihood is that we probably lose, but who knows with Tottenham, and just take it one day at a time, one game at a time, and yeah, there's negative Nelly is like he's in the scrap heap. Yeah, no, I think there's a lot of really good things about the game, without getting into too many more specifics. That's what I'm taking an overall kind of view on things, because it's the project, it's a massive, it's a 4-year journey with Ange, and hopefully longer,
And we do have a lot of these injuries, and I know we're going into the toughest game of the season. And we're going to have a City fan jumping on in a couple of minutes, by the way. And he's going to be, helping us preview the game and give us some insight. He's from the Noisy Neighbours podcast, which is obviously a Man City fan podcast. But anyway, looking at the injury list, right? Bentancur, Van de Ven, Maddison, Richarlison, Perisic, Solomon, Sessegnon, and Phillips. And then Romero's suspended and Sarr's TBC. Okay, that sounds horrendous, right? But when you think about who is a key player that starts, that's Bentancur, Van de Ven, and Maddison. Those are the three. Right? When you break it down like that, it's not quite. It's the depth which has been hit for 6.
So all our left wingers.
All our left wingers in one place. Right? But what I'm saying is that's 3 first-team players out. It's not great, but you can recover from that when I think the likes of Romero are back, and you add 1 or 2 in January. But it's just not. Just the miracle of the stars we needed to align to go on that title challenge have been firmly clouded over by some dark clouds. But where are you feeling at this one, Deej? Any comments on the performance?
I think it was fine. Like, I think we played really well, and then our best player on the day got his ankle destroyed by a player that I'm not going to comment on at all for the rest of this podcast, because it would not be becoming of me. But I think overall, I think we started really well. I think that obviously we started well. All the compilations of the chances we created in the first 30 minutes kind of feels a little bit like Arsenal a couple of years ago, which I hate to say, but we looked really well. I thought our defense, for having 0 really recognized center backs, I thought defended quite well. We conceded a set piece that was just a brilliant delivery from Douglas Luiz, and then a goal where Emerson probably could have done better but it was also just a good finish from one of the most informed strikers in the Prem. So I think all things considered, we can take a lot of positives from the game. I think it shows that Ange's system does work, and that we don't necessarily even need our best 11, even though it obviously doesn't hurt. That being said, Bentancur being out hurts so much. I think that once he left, I think that was kind of the end of Bryan Gil's efficacy, because I thought that in those first couple of minutes, I thought he actually looked pretty good. But once Bentancur left, there was just no one that could do the kind of passing that he wanted to do with a midfield player, and I think that kind of killed off his game. And yeah, after that, we didn't really look up for scoring outside of some frankly unlucky offsides chances.
God, we sound depressed. And so I'll go over to you, Larcy, then we can go on to introduce our guests and start to preview the City game. Looking forward. Go on,
I go along with the rest of the lads. I thought the performance itself was, with the squad and with the depletion of that squad, I think it was an absolutely fantastic performance all round, if I'm honest. And if you look at the chances, so I think there's two areas where I'd highlight where. So first of all, we were wasteful in front of goal. Right, Decky should have scored when he hit the post. Udogie should have scored when he skied it. Porro could have got the header off of Hill's save from Martinez. Before then Lo Celso scores. So we could have been 4-0 up before they even had a look in. Easily been 4-0 up before they got a look in. And that sort of been a typical sort of theme through our season a little bit. And the other thing was, right, you look at Villa's tactics since Emre took over. They've caught sides offside 163 times in the time that he's taken over. The next closest to them was Liverpool at 92 in that same time period. So it's clear that is a tactic of Emery, because he was so strong at Seville with that as well. And I think we're a bit naive on that with our runs and with our positional play at the weekend. Son didn't need to be on the last shoulder of those two centre halves. They're not the fastest in the world, and he got caught offside for when he slotted that goal away quite nicely. And he didn't need to be that close to the defender. He could have played the defender half a yard onside. And he could have timed his run a little.
Højbjerg took an extra touch.
Yeah, took an extra touch. Son made a brilliantly timed run, and Højbjerg just dawdled on the ball.
So whether it's Højbjerg or Son, we're a bit naive in terms of whether it's the through ball or whether it's the run. I mean, and then we got caught offside a couple of times when we really didn't need to. But we should have put that game beyond sight in the first half an hour.
Yeah.
And then you've got you got the offsides. But I mean, you had Watkins getting caught offside as well. That's marginal, and you can listen. I think the offsides were right. There was no wrong decision there, but no one wants to see those goals chalked off, do they? I mean, a shoelace offside. There's no There's no advantage gained. It doesn't help anybody. That's not what the rule was put in place for. So, I think overall. I think if I was to look at the Wolves in this game against each other, this game was a fantastic game compared to Wolves. Wolves was an awful game.
Yeah, no, fair enough. I think we need to move on to the City preview as our guest is here. Is it Mulv? Am I pronouncing it right? From the Noisy Neighbours podcast?
Yes, lads. Thanks for having me, Mulv. That's correct.
Well, thanks for joining, mate. Two questions. One, what is that thing behind your left shoulder? I've never seen one of those before.
I'm so sorry, lads.
You're just gloating now. It's the Premier League trophy for those listening on audio only. But yeah, I think I'd just like to also say that we have a guest who supports a team who's won everything they possibly can, but there's one thing Pep Guardiola has never done, and that's score a goal at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, famously. So we are the final thing that Pep needs before he can safely retire from Man City, and I think he's going to be there until it happens. But yeah, thanks for coming on. We really appreciate it. We just, if it's all right with you, we'd love to kind of start with a bit about like how Man City are doing this season, just for a couple of minutes on that, and also how you guys are feeling going to this game. Because although on paper this should, you've probably seen us complaining about our injuries by no end. It's gotten ridiculous. Bentancur's now out for 2 months, our best midfielder. We are not expecting anything, but the one team we seem to get a result against when we least deserve it is Manchester City.
Yeah, true.
But yeah, how are you feeling about the game?
Honestly, we are feeling quite optimistic. Probably more to do with Spurs' woes on the injury front than our own, prowess. Yes, Spurs. I'm just looking at the list here. On my right, I've got the preview of the game pulled up here, and that is a shockingly long list of injuries. Now we do have some ourselves. We do have some key players injured, and maybe that plays a little bit into my thoughts on how the season has gone so far. In that the season largely has been about replacing some key players that left during the summer. Ilkay Gundogan, Riyad Mahrez. big contributors for City over these successful few years that we've had. Big moments as well. You'll all remember some of Gundogan's magic at the end of last season and the season before. So having to replace that experience and that output has been, I think, Pep's biggest challenge this season, as well as keeping everybody motivated, and hungry to win. So there's been some. Well, sorry. Along with losing those players to transfers, what have you, we also have Kevin De Bruyne been injured for most of the season, which is obviously arguably our best player, one of the best players in the league. So adapting to being without those three key players really has been the biggest challenge. But we've got some decent incomings. Probably the brightest spark is probably Jeremy Doku. You've noticed he's really hit the ground running for us. Kovacic from Chelsea has been quietly he's adapted really quickly. And then Vardiol at the back, the defender, I think is going to be amazing. If he's already very, very good, but he's so young and he just looks perfect for Guardiola's system. So that being said about transfers and injuries and such, the season is going well. We're in the mix at the top. And I think Guardiola teams tend to get better as the season goes on. You've got John Stones is also injured. I forgot to mention he was sort of the key to the way we leveled up last season. I don't know if you watched just the second half of the season. There was a change that Guardiola made where he started playing Stones in the midfield, where he would come out with a back four and move into the midfield and help Rodri out. It just helped us immensely. So without him, we've looked a bit different as well. So I think we feel very good as City fans about where we are, very positive about the future of this season with Stones coming back, hopefully KDB next year, and we can push on and maybe separate ourselves from the sort of pack at the top.
Well, I think, I don't know if we want to go too off topic, but I think that's one of the discussions we're all interested to hear from a City's fan perspective as well, is all this, the obvious elephant in the room with City is the financial fair play charges and everything else. I think it just sums up the dominance of City when we're looking at you and going, next year things will be good of Ange and City might get a 30-point deduction. So we have a shot, rather than we can challenge Manchester City because it's Manchester City and Pep Guardiola, and every year he makes it even better. But how's your fan base feeling about that at the moment? Are you guys expecting punishment, or are you firmly in the camp of we're innocent? This is, something we'll be able to overcome?
Yeah, absolutely. We feel, innocent until proven guilty, but largely, many of us was suspicious of the rules in general from the outgo, like who they're there to protect and who they're there to keep out. And I think luckily City broke in to the that top elite set of clubs before the FFP rules could really stop us. So we're sort of not bothered, I think, largely, particularly the fans that have been around for a long time, before this set of, this ownership group came in, before FFP rules, etc. We've been and done divisions 1, 2, and we've sort of seen it all. So I don't want to sound arrogant here, but there's something about coming up from the bottom, winning it all, like you mentioned. Honestly, if we were to get relegated or something like that based on the results, a lot of us would sort of welcome that and be happy to do it all again, because we're convinced that we would go down and bounce back up and win the title again before Manchester United, who are absolutely shocking. So.
I think a lot of us were, and I'm going to ask the others what to expect from this next game. But it's interesting. I think one thing I want to close it off with is I read, and I thought it was a fair enough comment from a Manchester City fan on social media when they said, you might be scrapped down to the bottom tier. They're like, I've seen us win the Premier League in the last 30 seconds of a game. Yeah. Like, there's nothing. I've been through every single moment possible. You can't ever take that away from me. Like, I'm just going to experience the new joys of going up again because this isn't going to stop us and eradicate us. It's just going to be, okay, a new journey, and we know we're going to end up back at the top again because the owners aren't going to ditch us over it. And Pep said he's going to stay. So Pep Guardiola in the Conference South, can you imagine? Conference North, can you imagine? Stu, do you have a little ray of hope going into this game against City? How do you think we'll change anything in this lineup? Do you think it'll be pragmatic Ange or full on Ange ball? Let's just go for it.
Well, I mean, we're going to have to change because Bentancur won't be starting. So it'll be interesting to see what he goes for in the middle, whether Sarr slots in, or whether he still plays Kulusevski and GLC with Bissouma taking Bentancur's position. But I think Ange has pretty much said, this is the way I play. I think the Wolves game where he did try to be more pragmatic and it was horrible has convinced him even more. So I think we're going to go there. I fully expect to get slaughtered because City are an amazing team. So there's, you can't say anything about it. But I think, this is the philosophy that we're going to go in. And as long as we play good football and we try and give it a go, I don't care. But one question I've got, if you don't mind me asking, is how do you feel having let Palmer go and see him?
Oh, that's a good
flourish?
question. Yeah,
Great question. So we're in my house, my specific house, my family, my son, massive Cole Palmer fans. So I was actually disappointed to see him go because he's an academy product. He's a Manchester lad, very, very talented. But I still think it was the right decision for Manchester City to get 40 odd million pounds for him, for a player who Pep was never going to play this lad. I'm sorry, but he was never going to play. Even with the departure of Riyad Mahrez, who plays in his position, he immediately brought Jeremy Doku in, who can play that role. I would venture to tell you that Pep Guardiola would almost play no right winger because he's mad before he would play Cole Palmer. Like, he was that far down in the US we call it a depth chart, right? down the ranks. He wasn't going to get any time at City. He hadn't gotten any time at City. Now, you can't really argue with the results at City, right? Over the past couple of years while Cole Palmer's been there, they've won everything. So you can't really argue, well, he probably should have played more, maybe. But good for Cole because he's amazing, and it's interesting that our third or fourth choice player on the right wing has become really the shining light at Chelsea. So I think it's just a win-win. Like, everybody wins, Cole wins, City get a good transfer fee for him, and we move on.
Yeah. There's probably a bit about him. He was always going to be the academy player coming through at City, wasn't he? Whereas going to Chelsea, he's a marquee signing that's actually come into the team. He's been chosen by Pochettino to go in there and do a job. It's a different stature within Chelsea than what he held within City, right?
Totally, and he backed himself to do that, which I'm very proud of him for that.
Fair play to the kid.
I don't know if I would say he was a marquee signing for them. He looks like it now. But when that move happened, some of the other names that they signed over the summer, I wouldn't have had him at the top of their, list of signings as like the best one. I think he's proved that since he's been there.
But you're in an all right position when Chelsea are buying your scraps and starting them and building teams around them.
Could I ask just one last question?
Yes.
What's your feeling towards Jack Grealish as well? Are you happy you spent 100 million on him rather than bringing in Kane?
Okay. Oh, so Pep wanted Kane so badly, and you would know that more than anybody. Now that's worked out for us as well because we got our plan B in, and he's pretty good, isn't he?
He's not so bad.
Grealish is worth it. The 100 million just for the vibes. I mean, the guy's an absolute class act. He's funny as hell. He's just a good guy, and he doesn't do the flashy things that he did while he was at Villa. Granted, but as a component of a treble-winning side, he was one of Guardiola's key players. So if Pep Guardiola keeps playing you must be doing something right. I think one of the things underrated about him is defensive work. I think he's he's really good in that respect, and just a great guy to have around.
Johnny, I think I'm on your page there. Just the level of like, you can just drop £100 million on a guy because he brings good vibes. Like, just the way our clubs obviously operate is just so chalk and cheese in the way we go. Like, we spent 50 million quid on a midfielder 5 years ago, and we're still waiting for him to turn good. We're like, he has to turn good. He's the marquee signing, and Dombele, come on. But no, it is. But yeah, with the Kane one, I want to just close that loop because we always hear that Pep really, really, really wanted him. But he only ever offered 70 million quid for a 28-year-old homegrown player and then dropped 100 million quid on Grealish. And we feel like the media spun this as Tottenham are keeping him prisoner. But what world do you let the best striker in the world go at the time at 28 with 3 years left on his contract for 70 million quid when that gets you a Troy Deeney, not Troy Deeney, Ivan Toney or something? You know, it was just so like, we need Kane to go there because we want to see him win stuff as the media and as a neutral, rather than I think it ever really being an offer City would consider, because I think it would have cost 150, 200 million to really get him out the door from us at that time.
I think there is a bit of a misunderstanding about or misrepresentation of City's, extravagant spending, in that we will certainly walk away from deals that we don't think are good value. Now, I'm not saying the Kane thing wasn't good value. What I'm saying is, if plan B was, wait for Erling Haaland, you can see why they wouldn't want to splash all the money up front on Kane, even though Pep wanted him. So they balance these things out. They will walk away when they've got other options, or they can find a better way to use their money. And I think that's probably what happened with Kane. I think they were hoping Kane was going to push it more than he did from his side, and I mean he certainly did. But Levy just wasn't budging, was he?
No.
But I think you guys also set the market level that season with Grealish with the buyout for 100 million.
Sure.
So that almost said to Levy, well, if Grealish is worth 100 million, because I think you would have got him for 100 million if you hadn't paid 100 million for Grealish.
Yeah,
I think Levy would have took that.
Yeah, possibly.
But it's interesting, and I agree with you. I've seen City don't drop, the extortionate transfer fees are whistling away. But where I think we can never compete with you is anyone could have had Haaland. He was 40 million quid. But the reason he went to City and wouldn't go anywhere else is A, you get to pay for Pep Guardiola, and B, you get a wage structure that equals about 500 grand a week, which would just send Spurs, would have to offload 3 other key players to. But it's, Johnny or Deej, so I'm yattering away. Did you guys have any thoughts on the City game or questions you want to put forward?
Do you want to go, Deej? Well, I'll just. It's interesting what people, everybody else is kind of talking sense and stuff. So I'd like to maybe stray a little from that path, because all of us who've been football supporters for a long time understand that, just when you think you know what's going to happen, something completely different happens. And I certainly am not expecting Tottenham to win. I'm not completely certified yet, but at the same time, we have got players in our ranks that can cause damage. The way that we played against Villa the other day is showing that. I know it's a different level of opposition, obviously, but we will still have space and opportunities to attack, and we do have players if they're on their game. I mean, Son is a world-class player. There's no question of that. And okay, it's not the same personnel, but in the last 5 games in the Premier League, I know it's probably fairly meaningless stat, but not maybe for Guardiola. Like we've beaten City 3 times out of the last 4 games in the Premier League, and we've won 3 out of the last 2. Okay, so I think we could get spanked, but I think at the same time I don't think we will. I think City will win, but I think we will do ourselves proud, and I think that we're going to get a couple of goals. I think it could be quite an awful lot of goals, and I think City, they're absolute class acts. They're brilliant to watch. I know it's again for them a different sort of context as well, but I watched the game on Saturday against Liverpool. I didn't see the last 20 minutes, but it's quite a cagey game, wasn't it? I mean, neither team played particularly well. I guess being a Saturday lunchtime doesn't help either, but it's not like every week you're watching City and it's like, 2010 Barcelona or something like that. I mean, they are bloody brilliant. They are bloody brilliant, and I would certainly, if we're not going to win the league, which we're not, I would rather. I don't like Liverpool, and obviously you hate the other ones in red. So, and they're not the ones that Mulv would be thinking about. You know,
No, I know which ones. The really mouthy ones near you.
Yeah. Oh yeah, last season we all got to know you really well because if we're all being honest with ourselves, I watched City, Arsenal and Spurs every single week. I watched Arsenal just to pray they lost, and I watched you to pray you won because you were the thing that was going to stop it happening. So we all kind of became secondary armchair City fans that year, and thank God you did it.
I think for other fans, we were quite refreshing there for a little bit, but I think everybody's bored of us now. So.
Yeah, we all.
No, you go win the league again. Go win the league every year. I'm fine with that.
Stay there. Yeah, I do think we want to see an era where Pep moves on, just because he's brilliant and he innovates the league and he brings the best to the league. But it does get a bit boring to see the constant domination because you were like, can't everyone have an off year so that we have a chance? You know what I mean? But it's always like everyone's having an off year except City. You're like, brilliant.
You're right though.
He's a new formation.
He's the key. I think a lot of people get it twisted and put it all down to money. But you look at clubs like Man United who've spent. I think they have the most expensive squad in the league. Have outspent us over the last few years, and they're absolutely dog shit.
Yeah.
So there's more to it.
Well.
There's more to it than dropping a lot of money on a squad. He's the reason that we've been a class above in recent seasons, and I think that's. Let me ask you this. This might be a dumb question, but regarding the financial fair play and the investigation and the charges against City, from a opposition fan perspective, if you had the choice of the punishment being City got relegated or Pep Guardiola had to leave the club, which would you choose?
Oh, God,
easy. Get out of here, Pep.
Taxi for Pep.
Love to see the back of his bald head.
That's what people really want. They want him gone. I don't think they necessarily care whether we get relegated or anything. They just want him out of the league because he's just
get relegated. He's gone for a year.
That's true. You lose him for a year. He has said he will stay, which is I find
he has said that.
Fun.
Yeah.
But this
the problem is that they're questioning his legacy. That's the thing. He's got a legacy to defend, and if they're gonna, claim that he's cheated, his titles, he'll dig his heels in, and he'll come back and win them again. You know what I mean? So,
Also, isn't he a bit of a hypocrite in the sense he said if it's proven that they did something wrong, I'm leaving.
Yeah,
and now
he did say that. Yeah.
Well,
and now he's changed his mind. Yeah.
We will see if he is when the charges, when the decision is made.
Yeah.
Is there a time scale on that? Have they kind of given any?
I've heard the case might be heard in 2024. That's the latest news I've got. There's somebody on Twitter. He is a City fan, but he's completely what do you call it? Not subjective, objective, right? He's a lawyer. His Twitter is SLBSN. And if you ever want true, factual, knowledgeable info about financial fair play, whether it be City or Chelsea or the Everton thing, look at his Twitter feed. It's really good. It's not banter. It's knowledgeable, educated stuff on the matter. There's a lot of misinformation that gets bandied about, and you have to be careful. So, he's a good follow.
I think where we struggle with neutral sometimes is there is naturally a bitterness, right? Because it's like you've got the shiny thing a lot of our fans want, and it's a divisive topic because some of it, you have groups of fans which say, I don't want to be associated to sports washing in inverted commas.
Yep.
That's immoral, blah, blah, blah. Other people saying it's a sport. I watch it to be entertained. All billionaires are dirty. Give me the money. I want to sign Mbappe next year. And there's all these debates about it. But I think there's always subsets, but there's always on Twitter there's the worst. But there's this small subset of City fans which rile out the majority, saying the success has nothing to do with the money. We'd be there regardless. The money just got us there a little bit quicker. And I think that winds some people because I like interactive City fans who are like, yeah, I feel so lucky to have this, and it's absolutely epic. And I have to pinch myself and think how awesome this is that we have all these awesome players, and you can never take that away from me. That to me is a great outlook to have, rather than the denial and getting sucked into all the, denial of it being completely unrelated to the owners.
I think I've had all of those feelings at some point or another, but the one that I land on is just I do pinch myself. I mean, my God, and like I didn't have any choice of being a City fan. Like my dad was one, his dad was one, so it was something that the club picked me, and I never dreamt of winning a single trophy like when I was a kid. Like we might not winning the league was just not a thing. Like so, yeah, I'm absolutely. I pinch myself every day, mate. Yeah. It's ridiculous.
One day, boys. One day it's gone on a weird path now. We're just thinking of I sit there and I imagine often, like when we win the league, when it happens, I imagine how I'm going to get onto the pitch because I'm 2 tiers up. I'm like, do I run down? Do I go a minute early to get there? Do I just jump off the ledge and just go into the crowd of bodies? And I was dreaming about that up until these 3 defeats. I was like, is this going to happen? It's going to fucking happen. It's going to be amazing.
That's brilliant.
And then everyone gets injured.
When you do, get your influx of cash and Pep Guardiola, and you start winning, never stop going on the pitch. Never stop, because there's a section of our fan base is like, all right, can we stop going on the pitch when we win the league? No, always get on the pitch.
Get on there.
Always get on the pitch.
Get the fuck on there.
Now, I grew up in England until I was 10, and then I moved to the US. But my best mate growing up was a Spurs fan, and so I've got a bit of a soft spot for him and your club. It's the old story, like if I turned up to his house in a City kit, I was told I wasn't allowed in, and vice versa, right? So like our parents are really good mates. I don't like that Spurs have been beating us all the time, but
I've funny enough got a bit of a soft spot for City because the biggest local supporters club here in Basel is the Man City supporters club. They've got about 20 or 30 that regularly turn up at the Irish bar where I go and watch football. So I've known them all for sort of like 8 years since I've been over here. And the sort of leader of that group is he must be about late 60s, early 70s, and he's just a lovely Manchester fella.
Love it.
And there's nothing that you can dislike about any of them really, even though you might want to when you're watching the game with them. But but they're not. I don't find City fans obnoxious like a lot of the other clubs. I just don't. Yeah, I can't stand the Scousers. United get on my tits. All of the London clubs, goes without saying. But yeah, Man City, I've never really had other than getting chased down from the stand across the car park in Moss Side once. I've always had a good relationship with them.
So you're going to go to the Irish bar and you're going to find out that fella you're talking about is 42. Just letting you know now.
He's no way is he 42, mate. I'm telling you. Brian, if you're listening, dial in, son. Put a comment in. How old are you?
Poor old Brian. Yeah, he's from Manchester.
We are.
Tough place to grow up.
We are largely a very self-deprecating bunch. So, yeah. I think we're mostly all right.
I feel like you guys can afford to be. You're not a toxic fan base because you've been on the shadow of Man United for so long. You know how it feels, but also it's like that whole thing of when you see a real billionaire, right? They don't wear Gucci and drive a Lamborghini. They rock up in scrappy jeans and a t-shirt because they've got nothing to prove to any of you, and they're followed around by 5 or 6 beautiful women following them into the room. Like they've just got nothing to prove to anyone. I feel like City, you do what you're doing, whatever. Got nothing to prove to you.
You could have been Chelsea because you were there when you were shit. Chelsea was shit in the 70s and 80s, and they come out and they're obnoxious little fuckers, aren't they?
That's so funny because we have a supporters club here in Dallas, and we often would share a pub with a set of Chelsea fans, and they would sing to us like these American Chelsea fans singing to us. Where were you when you were shit, right? And I'm like, we were playing you. You know what I mean? They have no understanding.
Obviously, after us,
they have no understanding that Chelsea used to be, quite average. Similar story.
American Chelsea fans didn't really pay attention before Pulisic got bought.
So where
Well,
are you all? Help me out. Si, you're in
I'm
your
in Basel. I'm in Switzerland.
Switzerland. All right, Jim.
Yeah.
I'm in the UK.
Let's go. All right. DJ sounds
I am
American.
in Austin.
All right,
Yes.
fellow Texan.
Yes.
Brilliant.
Yeehaw.
Stuart.
I'm in Dubai.
Dubai. All right, fantastic. Johnny.
I'm just a couple of degrees cooler than Stu. I'm in Dublin. Keeping it real, Brit. Keeping it real.
In Dublin.
Dublin. All right, cool.
Dublin.
Yeah. So
me, Johnny, and Jim, season ticket holders, we go to most home games. It's a bit of a trek for me and Johnny, halfway across the continent, but we do our best. Sometimes we get there quicker than Jim.
You do.
Yeah.
Sometimes it takes me 4 hours to drive there, and they're already there. They've flown from their countries, landed in Stansted, and got a taxi across. But Stu's coming across for a game next month as well, which is awesome. And it just depends on flight costs because you know what it's talking about. It's pretty hit and miss going across the UK. So.
Fantastic. So two of my musical icons, being from Manchester and everything. Can you guess?
Oh yeah, I can guess who they might be.
Go on.
The two squabbly little brothers.
Actually, what I'm getting at is my childhood was filled with late nights of Chaz and Dave.
Gotcha.
My parents, even though we're from the north, we moved to the south when I was young. Have you heard of Basingstoke?
Yeah, I
used to live in Basingstoke for a while.
Oh,
it's
cool.
about 6-7 miles that way for me.
Okay, fantastic. When I was young, my dad's job took us down to Basingstoke from Manchester, and that's where I met my Spurs best mate. And it was we listened to Squeeze all the time and Chaz and Dave, and that was about it.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
Pretty eclectic.
Nice.
I'm really enjoying the chat, but I have to wrap up because my son is screaming for
my
attention.
Needy, that boy, Jim.
I
you
know,
need to sort him out, mate. I
promised him I'd light the fire, and you know what kids are like, and it's just like, you said you'd light the fire, you said we'll light the fire, and he just in awe.
Otherwise, he'll torch it again, won't he?
Yeah, you know how it is. But Marv, it's been lovely meeting you, mate.
And you.
Predictions?
Yeah. Predictions.
Quick predictions. We don't have time for much of a explanation as to why, but let's go for the scores, everyone. Si, go.
2-1 loss.
Johnny.
4-2 loss.
Deej.
I didn't even get to talk about the game. I'm just hoping we do better than the Tottenham women did against the City women this weekend. I don't know if y'all caught that.
Yeah, it was 7-0, was it?
Whoa.
Yeah. I'll go for a 3-1. Not going to say who.
Stu.
I go for exactly the same 3-1 loss.
Oh my God, guys. Marv, go on, tell us we're going to win.
You're going to score twice. Kulishevsky one, Son the other, but it's be a Haaland hat-trick, so 3-2 City.
All right, I'm going to go for a 2-1 Spurs win, and this is why. Because there is, have you played Uno before with the Uno reverse card? Whenever we play City, all our Spursiness just gets injected into City for 90 minutes, and everything that could go wrong. Remember the Champions League?
Yeah.
Like, everything that could go wrong. Just so I'm banking on that and us coming out with a miracle 2-1 win, and City are down to 7 men.
All day long, man.
And VAR breaking just as we needed to break, but this time in our favour.
Yeah.
Up the Spurs, boys. Thank you very
Thanks,
much.
Spurs.
Cheers, Ralph.